In a world built on competition and craving, there stands a city of contradictions, small in size, vast in influence. Hong Kong, a jewel carved from stone and salt water, where scarcity became strength and ambition became culture. It has no soil to feed itself, yet it nourishes the dreams of millions. It owns no gold mines, yet its skyline gleams richer than empires. The world watches, calculating and admiring, pretending not to envy what it cannot replicate. This is not just wealth. It is willpower refined into fortune, and fortune reborn into legend. They called it a rock, barren, humid, unpromising. No oil beneath, no fertile soil above, no rivers to trade upon. Just cliffs, salt water, and fog. Yet from this unlikely stone, Hong Kong sculpted its destiny. When the world saw scarcity, it saw strategy. When others begged nature for gifts, Hong Kong built its own. The harbor became its heart, the ocean its open gate. Ships carried not just goods, but ideas, and from those ideas came innovation. What it lacked in resources, it replaced with resolve. What it missed in fortune, it mastered through foresight. Here, survival wasn't inherited, it was engineered. Every inch of land became opportunity. Every second turned into productivity. The people learned to move fast, think sharper, and trade smarter. The mountain that once mocked them became their skyline. The sea that once isolated them became their wealth. They didn't wait for blessings, they created them. And in that act of defiance, Hong Kong wrote its own myth, that greatness does not belong to the gifted, but to the determined. Today, when the world looks at Hong Kong, it sees something unsettling, a reminder that comfort kills ambition. Nations with abundant land and oil envy a city that built riches from air and grit. The glass towers rising from its hills are not monuments of luck, but of labor, carved by hands that refuse to quit. Hong Kong's wealth is not an accident of geography, it's a declaration of human will. A city that shouldn't have succeeded, and yet it did, louder, faster, stronger than anyone thought possible. History built Hong Kong not with mercy, but with motive. When the British arrived in the 1800s, they didn't come searching for paradise, they came for position. The empire saw in Hong Kong not beauty, but advantage, a strategic harbor carved between the east and the west. From this small rock, they forged a machine for trade, finance, and control. They built banks before parks, ports before palaces. It was not love that built Hong Kong, but logic, cold, efficient, unyielding. And yet, in that rigid structure, something extraordinary was born, a foundation for limitless enterprise. The British blueprint may have been imperial, but it planted the seed of global capitalism that would outgrow its maker. Over time, Hong Kong learned to master the very system that once ruled it. The city absorbed British precision and paired it with Asian persistence, a hybrid of discipline and daring. The colonial framework of law and finance gave it the world's trust, but the local spirit gave it life. The banks that began as British became global giants, and the city that once answered to London began writing its own economy in the language of success. Irony became its quiet revenge. Hong Kong turned the empire's playbook into its own masterpiece, running capitalism more efficiently than those who invented it. And the world noticed. Nations saw a city with no army, no land, no natural wealth, commanding global money like a silent empire of its own. They envied its discipline, its system, its ability to rise from subjugation into supremacy. The colonial past became a paradox. The chains that once bound it became the rails that carried it to fortune. That is Hong Kong's brilliance. It learned from power without becoming its prisoner. It mastered the art of turning exploitation into evolution, and from that lesson, it built an economy that even empires envy. Hong Kong is more than a city, it is a conversation. A living bridge suspended between two worlds that rarely speak the same language, yet somehow share the same ambition. To the west, it is the entry point to the mysterious markets of Asia. To the east, it is the doorway to global prestige and capital. Here, skyscrapers whisper in Cantonese while stock tickers hum in English. Laws follow British logic, but hearts move to Chinese rhythm. The air itself feels like translation, fluent in ambition, fluent in survival. In this fragile balance, Hong Kong built its greatest power, neutrality wrapped in brilliance. where everyone came to trade, to negotiate, to dream. From the beginning, the city understood something few others ever did, that influence does not require size, only position. While nations drew borders and built walls, Hong Kong built bridges of finance and trust. Cargo ships, investment deals, ideas. Everything flowed through its harbor like lifeblood in a global body. It became the East's handshake with the West, the world's experiment in coexistence between capitalism and culture. The bankers of London needed its access. The entrepreneurs of Shanghai needed its freedom. In its noise and neon, Hong Kong became the one place where the world's contradictions could coexist without collapse. But bridges come with burdens. To stand between giants is to feel their tension in your bones. The West envied Hong Kong's precision. The East envied its openness. Each side wanted its loyalty but feared its independence. And so, envy grew, quiet, political, disguised as critique. They called it unstable, but they never stopped using its banks. They called it fragile, but they never stopped trusting its money. Because envy often hides respect, and Hong Kong, standing between worlds, earned both. It proved that neutrality can be power, that smallness can be strength, and that sometimes the most powerful place on earth is not a country at all, but a bridge that refuses to break. In Hong Kong, success is not celebrated, it is expected. The heartbeat of the city is measured in motion. Footsteps on marble floors, the hum of subways before dawn, the soft glow of office lights that never sleep. Here, ambition is not a choice, it is an inheritance. Every worker, every trader, every dreamer knows the unspoken law, that effort is sacred and time is gold. It is a city that worships precision, where lateness feels like betrayal and mediocrity is an offense. The people do not wait for opportunity. They build it, carve it, refine it until it gleams. This is the discipline of the dragon, silent, fierce, unrelenting, a culture that burns quietly but never burns out. This discipline is not born from comfort, but from necessity. In a land with no farmland, no natural wealth, the people learned that their only resource was themselves. Generations grew up believing that to slow down was to fall behind, and to fall behind was to disappear. Parents taught children not just arithmetic and manners, but the rhythm of resilience, the understanding that life rewards those who move with purpose. From street markets to skyscraper boardrooms, Hong Kong hums with the same tune, a symphony of order and obsession, of grace wrapped in grit. The city breathes productivity. It inhales competition and exhales excellence. And yet, beyond the numbers and skyscrapers lies something deeper, pride. Western nations often look at Hong Kong's relentless pace with a mix of admiration and unease. They envy the efficiency, the precision, the near-mechanical beauty of a society that never stops refining itself. But they also wonder, at what cost? The answer is hidden in the city's skyline, in the sleepless glow that paints the harbor at midnight. It is the price of perfection, the quiet exhaustion that only the ambitious understand. But Hong Kong does not complain. It moves, it builds, it endures. For while others chase comfort, Hong Kong chases mastery, and that is why the world, even as it envies, cannot look away. Luxury in Hong Kong is not loud, it whispers. It glides along glass towers and echoes softly through the marble halls of Central. It sparkles in the reflection of Victoria Harbor at night, where neon lights shimmer against the sea like jewels scattered by the gods. Here, wealth is not a boast, but a language, spoken through silence and precision. A Rolex worn without mention, a penthouse hidden above the clouds, a designer suit that fits so well it barely draws notice. This is not the extravagance of indulgence, it is the luxury of mastery. Every detail is measured, every motion rehearsed. Hong Kong does not scream wealth, it breathes it. But behind the glitter lies restraint, an invisible balance between pride and discipline. The same hand that signs billion-dollar deals still bows before tradition. The banker who closes markets by day shares dim sum with his mother by dawn. In the city's rhythm, luxury never erases humility, it refines it. The streets of Mong Kok hum beneath the shadows of skyscrapers, a reminder that ambition and modesty coexist. To live in Hong Kong is to live on the edge, where speed meets stillness, where success dances with self-control. This tension is what makes the city magnetic. It seduces not by offering more, but by showing less, power wrapped in poise. And so, the world watches with fascination and envy. Western capitals flaunt abundance, but few can match Hong Kong's elegance and restraint. Paris has romance, New York has ambition, Dubai has spectacle, but Hong Kong has balance. It is a city that turned control into art, that taught the world how to shine without shouting. Its skyline tells the story of human ambition sculpted into grace. To outsiders, it looks effortless. But those who know better. Every quiet success here is built on sleepless nights, every moment of luxury earned through years of restraint. That is the paradox that fuels envy. How a city so small mastered the art of having everything, yet needing nothing. Jealousy rarely speaks in words. It lingers in the pauses, in the way the world stares too long. When nations look at Hong Kong, what they see is not just a city, but a mirror, one that reflects what they once dreamed to be: efficient, resilient, unstoppable. From Wall Street to Westminster, from Tokyo to Berlin, the whisper is the same. How does a city with no soil to stand on grow roots this deep? They study its skyline like scripture, hoping to decode the secret. The truth, though, is unsettling. Hong Kong's strength was never inherited. It was built from pressure, polished by survival. And that makes its wealth unreplicable. The envy begins there, where admiration meets helplessness. In Western capitals, they call Hong Kong fragile, a financial bubble, a system on borrowed time. But these are not judgments. They are disguises for awe. Beneath the critiques lie confessions that Hong Kong does in decades what others can't achieve in centuries. While politicians debate and economies drift, Hong Kong continues to pulse, unbothered. It is capitalism at its most agile, globalization at its most refined. And though the world pretends to pity it, deep down, they covet its precision, the invisible system that hums beneath the skyline. They envy not just the money, but the method, the discipline, the magic of turning scarcity into supremacy. Yet envy is a double-edged gaze. For some, Hong Kong is proof that control and freedom can coexist. For others, it's a threat, a challenge to their narratives of Western dominance. How can a city of 7 million shape markets that rule billions? How can it survive crises, protests, pandemics, and still emerge gleaming? That quiet resilience offends pride. It unsettles comfort. And so, the world watches, some with curiosity, others with resentment. But envy, in the end, is a kind of tribute. It means the world has noticed. It means the world remembers. For Hong Kong, that's enough, because history never envies the ordinary. It only envies the exceptional. In the heart of Asia, where ambition hums louder than sleep, one city rose as a beacon, not by chance, but by conviction. Hong Kong became more than a skyline. It became a statement, a living symbol that Asia could rival, even surpass, the West at its own game. From Singapore's harbor lights to Seoul's electric nights, the whisper spread, "Be like Hong Kong." The city's rhythm became a blueprint for progress, disciplined, daring, deliberate. In its narrow streets, entrepreneurs built empires from ideas. In its glass towers, Asia's confidence found its reflection. What began as colonial scaffolding became a monument of self-mastery, a declaration that Asian excellence was not imitation, but evolution. And yet, symbols cast long shadows. The West watched, fascinated, then threatened. To them, Hong Kong was supposed to remain a gateway, not a competitor, a bridge, not a rival. But Hong Kong refused that role. It stood tall, neither east nor west, but something new, something uncontained. Its success disrupted hierarchies written long ago in European boardrooms. Its financial pulse echoed louder than London's whispers, its discipline steadier than Wall Street's chaos. That balance, order with ambition, restraint with innovation, became the quiet threat, not because Hong Kong sought to conquer, but because it proved that power could be redefined, and that terrified those who believed they owned the definition. Across Asia, Hong Kong's glow became a challenge, a mirror of what's possible and a measure of what's not yet done. To be the next Hong Kong became a dream and a burden. The pride it inspired was matched only by the pressure it created. For Asia, Hong Kong was proof of potential. For the West, It was proof of change. And in that tension, admiration wrapped in unease, lay the beauty of its symbol. Because to be envied by both East and West is not just to be rich, but to be relevant. Hong Kong didn't just build wealth, it built a legend. And legends, once born, never fade. They inspire, provoke, and quietly shift the balance of the world. Every empire, every city, every success story wears its crown with a quiet ache beneath the glitter. For Hong Kong, glory came wrapped in gold and tension, a shimmering triumph built on sleepless effort, on 1,000 small sacrifices never spoken. Behind every bright skyline is a shadowed cost, families stretched thin by ambition, hearts numbed by routine, a generation that learned to measure worth by movement. In the silent hours between midnight deals and dawn commutes, the city exhales, briefly, softly, before it begins again. Wealth became its language, progress its prayer. But even prayers, when repeated endlessly, begin to sound like echoes of longing. To be the symbol of excellence is to be under constant gaze. The world watches Hong Kong not just to admire, but to compare, to dissect, to doubt. Every success becomes proof. Every stumble becomes prophecy. The West calls it fragile, the East calls it proud, but in truth, it is neither. It is human, a city that bleeds behind the glass. Its people walk the fine line between dignity and exhaustion, between being envied and being understood. That is the unseen cost of glory, the pressure to remain untouchable while the world waits for you to fall. And yet, even under that weight, Hong Kong endures, graceful under pressure, unbroken under scrutiny. Its beauty lies not in perfection, but in persistence. Because what the world envies most is not the wealth itself, but the will that created it, the refusal to surrender, the courage to shine when the storm is loudest. That is Hong Kong's quiet victory, the endurance that outlasts envy, the grace that survives glory. The city stands not just as a monument of money, but as a testament to resilience, proof that greatness is not inherited or imposed, but earned, one heartbeat at a time. The world has watched Hong Kong rise and tremble, shine and struggle, yet never break. From its crowded streets to its glimmering towers, this city has endured storms that could have shattered nations. Beneath the envy and the wealth lies something far rarer: endurance. The kind that doesn't boast, but breathes quietly through uncertainty. Hong Kong is more than its skyline. It is a heartbeat that refuses to fade, a spirit that turns chaos into rhythm and pressure into progress. You can envy Hong Kong's money, its skyline, its allure, but you cannot buy its soul. Because spirit is earned through resilience, not riches. And as long as the city stands between the mountains and the sea, it will remind the world that survival itself is a kind of art. This is AsiaEyeWithin. If this story moved you, like, share, and subscribe. Let's keep seeing Asia from within.